Hey there folks, I am the Mighty Plantain. Thanks for checking out this video. We're actually doing a part 2 on the viewer suggestions for mixers with the Lord Calvert. I've still got 5 more bottles of this stuff, so I got plenty of time to figure out what the best combo is. And while I was in the middle of filming part 1, I actually was having a conversation through text messaging with some folks, EM Destroyer being the primary one, and I got some new suggestions for what to mix this stuff with. Those are in the fridge because I thought of some on my own as well, and we're going to try out a few different things. You know what? I'm going to put the fucking hat back on. Why not? We did this for part 1, so we'll try to class up part 2 as well. There we go. Alright, so first off, Schweppes. Schweppes Ginger Ale, the only soda children won't drink. Well, this came up because we were talking about it, and I realized that Crown and Ginger works out pretty good. And Crown's another Canadian whiskey, so, I might have gone a little heavy on that one. We'll have to back off on the next one. So if Crown goes well with Ginger, why can't Lord Calvert? Hell, give it a try. I think it's, Seagram 7 and 7-Up. I said this during part 1. I can't remember if Seagram's is a wine, but I almost want to say Seagram 7 is a cheaper whiskey too, so. Yeah, I'm still not a huge fan of ginger ale on its own. But let's see how it goes with the whiskey. Because like I said, I have enjoyed a good Crown and Ginger, and I accidentally had a Jack and Ginger one time because I ordered it wrong. I think I mentioned that in the last video too, so I won't harp on that again. Because I haven't had any drinks yet. By the end of this video, I'll be rambling about everything, just like last time. It's not bad. It, maybe because the Crown and Gingers I've ordered have come from a bar, they were probably poured a little less heavily. And Crown tends to be a smoother whiskey blend than the Lord Calvert does anyway as well. But there's a little bit more harshness from the whiskey in this than I'm used to from the from doing a whiskey and ginger any other way. And again, not being a huge fan of ginger ale, I think if I went thinner on this, I would not mind it, but it's definitely not top of my list right now, especially not over something more basic like whiskey and Coke. So I'm going to finish this one up and we'll get another round poured out. So, next up, a little something I got with the Schweppes when I went into the store to grab it. It was 2 for $2 Schweppes, or one other thing, and I definitely didn't need 2 bottles of Schweppes. Sorry, I was just keeping an eye on that pour because I don't want to go as heavy as I did on the last one. I'll be in trouble by the end of the night. So, 2 for $2 Schweppes or mug root beer. Why not? Can't hurt. Can't be any worse than the fucking Lord Calvert and Allen's from part 1 of this whole series. I was expecting it to smell a little bit more like root beer than that. I'm not getting any really harsh whiskey aroma either, so that's good. That's actually not bad. It's not bad at all. Like I said with the Schweppes, if I went a little heavier on the cola, you'd barely even taste, or the root beer, you'd barely even taste the whiskey in there. It makes me wonder what, like, A&W or even Barks. Barks is my favorite root beer because it's got that here comes their ad campaign right back at you. It's got that bite to it. It's got a certain sharp taste that no other root beer really has, and it's even better in a can. But yeah, the mug root beer, not bad. I'm getting just enough root beer flavor and just a hint of the whiskey, and they're mixing together pretty decently. That's no, it's not bad at all. Alright, so I'm going to finish this one up, and I got a couple more to go. Alright, so you can thank EM Destroyer for these next two, and in the moment, I can't remember if I mentioned these on the last video or not, because as I said before, that conversation was occurring as I was filming. So, some of you may be surprised by these, some of you may not. I haven't had time to review and edit that video yet, so I can't remember if I mentioned the specifics, but next up is Moxie. For those not familiar, Moxie is a bit of an acquired taste. It's a Maine beverage, recently acquired by Coca-Cola, who have assured us that it's still going to be available in New England. Originally, you could only get it around New England, pretty much. I mean, select few places elsewhere. Mostly in Maine, though. Although some stores, I understand there's a Publix in Florida that one of my cousins actually managed to convince to start carrying this stuff for her father, which is pretty damn cool, I think. But, you know, Liz, you can persuade people sometimes. Anyway, Moxie. It's an old-timey cola. Pepsi put out I think it was 1893 was the name of it. It was some year distinction. And if you can't find Moxie in your area, that old-timey Pepsi throwback recipe is probably the closest thing you're going to get, because I believe it's the cola nut. No, because that cola, K-O-L-A, or something, nut extract, it's not in this. It's a combination of flavorings and gentian root extractives, plus the phosphoric acid, citric acid, caramel colored, natural and artificial flavors. So it's a unique blend anyway, and the bottom line is it's an old-timey throwback flavor cola. Coca-Cola recently purchased it. It was a small beverage company in Maine. They have assured us that you can get it everywhere we used to be able to, and probably seeing more widespread distribution now that Coca-Cola owns it. I hope so, because everybody should try this stuff at least once. And again, if you can't find it, that Pepsi 1893 or whatever it was is probably the closest you're going to get, but it's definitely not a substitute for Moxie. Now, I've got a unique relationship with Moxie. Every now and then I get in the mood for it and I want it. Most of the time I don't, though. It's not a delicious beverage. It's nostalgic. It was the only soda that one of my grandmothers ever had in the house when I was growing up. My meme. And, yeah, you kind of got used to it. So anyway, here goes. I'm not getting any aroma off of this. Anything at all. It's really neutral. Which is funny, because I can usually smell that bitter, whatever it is, flavor from Moxie. I can usually smell it before I can taste it, so. Well, that's not bad. Honestly, I think the flavor of the Moxie is cutting the whiskey out completely, because I went as heavy as I did on those other two drinks before this one, and I'm getting less whiskey flavor than I was there, and I'm mostly getting the Moxie. It's not bad at all. Matter of fact, if I'm having one of my Moxie cravings and it happens to line up with the weekend, I might grab some just to mix with the Lord Calvert. Like I said, I'm going to be drinking this stuff for a while. I got 5 more friggin' half gallons, so it's going to last. As you can see, yeah, that's, I'm not getting any of the whiskey flavor at all. I'm basically getting Moxie. But as I was saying, as you can see, on night 2, yeah, I've got at least one more drink to do for the video, and I might have another one after that. We're only going to be halfway through this half gallon, so each one of these bottles is going to last me 2 weekends. Well, shit, you know? 2 weekends, that's 12 weeks worth of whiskey in one case. I'll tell you what, I've got a Sam's Club membership. Even if Damon's doesn't put this stuff on sale again 3 months from now, roughly, maybe I'll just go buy another fucking case. I don't know. Don't worry, for those of you regular viewers, I do have plenty of plans to keep doing beer reviews. I even have 3 oddballs in the fridge right now waiting for the review, so I will be keeping up on the beer reviews. So I'm going to finish this one up, and I'm going to move on to the 4th and final one for tonight. At least as far as I can tell off the top of my head, it's going to be the final one for tonight. We'll see. Alright, folks, this next one falls into the "at least it's not Allen's Coffee Brandy" category. Getting out the measuring spoon. Like I said last time, not quite a full shot. This is about, I don't know, close to an ounce versus an ounce and a half. 30 milliliters. Now, if you've paid attention to other posts on this channel and more stuff about the last Lord Calvert video in particular, you'll know that the reason I'm measuring this out is because I'm about to mix 2 hard alcohols together, and I don't want to go too fucking crazy and fill the glass with booze. So, like I said, at least it's not Allen's Coffee Brandy. It's the next best thing, though. Jaeger! Little Jagermeister, and you can see by the sheen of slight frost on the bottle, this is a half pint by the way, that this has been in the freezer, where it fucking belongs, where it probably should stay. But yeah, Jaeger's one of those companies that doesn't want to deal with deposits on their nips, so I wasn't able to get a nip tonight. I had to buy a half pint, which I guess isn't bad, because I'm sure somebody's going to have a use for it. Or maybe I'll have a use for it myself in future videos. So, oh, dribbled a bit. Making more of a mess now. Okay, I'll clean that up before the wife gets up in the morning. I think it's just dribbling down the bottle anyway. So anyway, like I was saying, at some point, I'm sure that either through some viewer suggestion or my own sick and twisted process, there will be a need for Jaeger in this house. So the half pint's not a bad thing. And it's more economical than buying a bunch of nips every time it comes up. So I actually got it in the sink that time instead of getting it wedged up behind the faucet. That's interesting. The Jaeger and the Lord have merged into this weird reddish color. Now, some of that's from the blinking red light on the GoPro camera coming through, but even without that, you can see it's a bit reddish. Or maybe you can't. Like I said, the lighting in here sucks, and I hope to do something about that someday, but it's going to depend on a couple of different factors. Anyway, going to try not to ramble. God, it smells angrier than it looks. I mean, what could come of mixing Jaeger with whiskey? Any whiskey, much less a less expensive blended Canadian whiskey that's not the best taste to begin with. No, it just smells angry. And it looks a little angry. Here goes. Well, I'll say the same thing that I did about the Allens in Lord Calvert. I've had worse, but I've also had way better. As a shot, it probably wouldn't be that bad. I know, I just had that slight convulsion and whatever that was that would seem to lead you down. Would seem to lead you to think differently, but it's not awful. Just there's something unnatural about the pairing. I'm getting Jaeger, and Jaeger is not my favorite, but it's palatable on its own. Combined with the whiskey, it just tastes unnatural, and it doesn't go down smooth at all. I know what it is. I said it looked angry, and it smelled angry, and it tastes like pure, angry bile. That's a mad drink. It's mad at me for making it. It's mad at me for drinking it. It's probably a good thing I'm not in a crowded club, because I have a feeling that it will make me mad later. I mean, Jaeger's... It's not quite 151, but it's still a pretty decent source of liquid anger. I mean, this thing just looks pissed off to begin with. I mean, that's not a happy deer. That ain't fucking Bambi on the cover, folks. That is an angry deer. So, combine that with whiskey, and I think you really are looking at liquid anger. Like I said, not quite on the level as 151, but this is a mad drink. Yeah. Yeah, it will induce anger as well. So if you're going to do that, do it as a shot, which means slightly less of each than what I put in that glass. And stay away from crowds. Alright. I'm going to wrap this one up. I was just thinking and taking stock. I think that's all I've got for mixers other than the Coke that I followed up last week's video with at the very end. So we're down to Lord and Coke for the rest of the night because I still have a 2-liter to finish off. And I'm still undecided. Right now the Coke is the smoothest mixer for it, but it might not necessarily be my favorite. I'm going to keep exploring. So hit me up down in the comments at the email link down below. I'd love to hear your suggestions on what I can mix the next 5 bottles of Lord Calvert with. I've got next weekend to experiment with this one, so hopefully I'll hear from you guys around that time. I don't know. This one might be gone by next weekend by the time I post this particular video, because I think I'm going to post the first one next Friday, and then this one the Friday following that. We'll see how it all pans out. Anyway, yeah, this is hitting me hard and fast, and I'm getting stupid, so I think it was smart to cut it off here. Hit me up down below in the comments, the email link. I want to hear your suggestions on what I should mix the Lord Calvert with. Again, as I said before, I have not found a favorite. And last week when I was starting this series, I had a live text message conversation. I would have done the Moxie, the Ginger, and the Jaeger last week and incorporated it into one video. Pardon, if Boosh wasn't such a pussy and he answered his phone and said, "Hey, yeah, sure, I'll take you to the store." He was probably working. That wasn't a fair judgment. All right, I am rambling. Give me your suggestions. While you're down there, make sure to like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Till next time, folks. Drinking with the Lord hopefully doesn't result in praying to the porcelain god. Cheers. Ooh, the last few drops were the worst.